one night they had a young girl sitting out here by herself, and they had a bunch of cameras placed throughout the cemetery here, and they were set up to go off with movement. Well, one of the cameras did go off, and they couldn't find any sign of movement. And the next day, when they developed the film, they saw a shadow man sitting over in this area here. Now, there's also a famous photograph taken by Terry Ike Clanton, who's a distant relative of Ike Clanton from the gunfight days. And he had a friend come over from San Diego who wanted to take a realistic old western type picture. So he bought some black and white film and dressed up in period clothing and asked Terry to take a picture of him out here. Well, Terry set him off to one side and took the picture so that you could get a little bit of the, the distance in the photo too. And when they developed that film, just to the left of the man, you could see from about the waist up a guy wearing a flat brim black hat. And they say he's holding a knife. I enlarged it, but my computer isn't powerful enough for a clear picture. I didn't see a knife, but that's some of the things that have been photographed out here. There's also been a lot of orbs photographed out in this area. Now, just this side of them graves is the grave of old Man Clanton. He went by Newman Haynes Clanton or Newton Haynes Clanton, depending on what you read. He was the father of Ike and Billy Clanton.
Buford House was built in 1880, and it was originally a bed and breakfast of sorts. But it didn't last that long as a bed and breakfast because of the three ghosts that inhabit it. One is a young girl who appears on the master bed in the master bedroom. She doesn't say much. Matter of fact, she doesn't say anything at all. But she's kind of scary. And then there's an older woman who appears in a rocking chair in one of the other bedrooms. And she'll look at you and say, "This is my room, get out." And literally, people were getting up and getting out in the middle of the night. The haunted Buford House is on your left-hand side here. And right here to your right is what's known as Death Alley.
Get up and take pictures, folks.
Yeah, we get lots of orbs
Great spot right here.
Lots of orbs. And the reason it's called Death Alley is because pretty much, if you were, you can step on the steps, you just can't get off the alley.
Oh.
The reason this was called Death Alley is because basically if you were going in or you were going out, you were in a wagon and you were dead. One night, this girl took a picture and it almost looked like somebody was walking up the alley, and believe me, there was nobody there. And as a matter of fact, a week and a half ago on a Saturday night, there were 5 people lined up at these windows taking pictures, and the weirdest thing happened. They all got the same orb in the same spot of their picture. Now, for those people who say that orbs are really dust particles, it would seem pretty strange to me that there were 5 cameras with the same dust particle in the same spot on the lens. Now, this was a time when Tombstone was known to have a body for breakfast. Basically, just about every morning, they'd find somebody dead. And in a time when most cities or towns couldn't keep one undertaker busy, Tombstone had 2 full-time funeral homes and kept them very busy. Paranormal groups around the country call this ground zero for paranormal activity. The birdcage was opened around Christmas time of 1881. There are about 14 cribs suspended over the main floor, for those of you that haven't been in there. Downstairs, there was a poker game. Only one, but it lasted 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for over 7.5 years. 9 men lost their lives during that poker game. There are over 140 bullet holes in the ceiling and in the walls of the Birdcage Theater. 26 people in all lost their lives there. I can't say 26 men because don't forget Margarita met her demise that night on the poker table. Now folks, we'd like to take you to the bloodiest corner in all of Tombstone, and some actually say the bloodiest corner during that time period in all of America. And that is the corner of 5th and Allen Street. Now you guys heard the story about T.J. Waters, who was killed over his blue and black checkered shirt. Mm-hmm. Well, when we pull up here, Curly Jim is going to shine a light on where Corrigan's Saloon was back in 1880 when that happened. And then E.L. Bradshaw was waiting across the street at Bogan's Alley. Now, I think Dave might have told you Bogan's Alley was a one-lane bowling alley and a tasting parlor run by James Earp. One of the most famous shootings here was that of Virgil Earp. Virgil Earp on December 28, 1881, came out of the Oriental, which is over here on your right, walking across the street, going to his offices above the Crystal Palace. He got to right about where Curly Jim's shining the light, and men that were hiding in what was then called the Huachuca Water Company. On the second floor there was a building being built, and it was a good place for people to hide if they wanted to ambush somebody. Well, these men were hiding up there and shots rang out. Some of the shots hit the Crystal Palace,